tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow. May
I
the
don't think
4th
I'll
be.
see you tomorrow, though.
Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. And glad everybody. I think Jim, I see you on there too. You're joining us from Colorado again?
Yes, ma'am.
You're a glutton for punishment.
Nah, no punishment here.
We're glad to have you again. And yeah, we'll kind of go through. Let's see. I see Roger's on. I always tell you guys it's like romper room. Like in there, I see Terry and I see Carl and I see Mick. So we're tonight. I think from the pattern, Mick, you're tying a hopper, one of the kits that came in the post fly.
Yeah, it's called the Blockhead Black and Red. And Mike and I were talking that some of us participants got 2 orders last month. So I still have this pack. If someone thinks they could use it, let me know. I'll even ship it out in the mail if you want. Because I've tied a couple of them now. I think it'd be good for bass, topwater stuff. Probably a little bit too big for fish, but it was an easy tie. I think, we could even keep this for sure if we get a new participant that's just starting. This wasn't too hard. So if they wanted to go into bass, and we could pass this one along to them.
Absolutely. And I think, kind of the fun part with this is, watching you go through the tie. And then I think on our experience, everybody can look at adaptive, what we have that would work in replacement. And so if you don't have a full kit, what you could use to fill in, and some of the different things, I think also in regards to the foam, and like what I was saying when we were first joining up, some of those with the foam is a little bit too porous. And so when you cut it and it has too many holes and it just wants to let water in, that's where we've talked about before, not the Sally Hansen's in this shape bottle, but you actually want to look for this quick dry, and it'll just seal off that, and it doesn't add any extra weight. If you're a UV person, then you want to, you could do a thin layer of UV over it, and it will not weight it down in the water. So you're still sitting high like what you want. And then, kind of going into more of the hopper or the kit. So just like what Mick was talking about. So with again, you can get the barrel heads and a lot of different things that also mimic that, but we're kind of going on the, what the kits we're working with, and then also the shopping and how you can kind of add to your supplies. But go ahead, Mick, we are ready whenever you are.
All right.
Again, we have a couple folks from out, and let me see if I can. All right, I'm going to send out a couple texts to folks that I know are missing, and but I'll let you know if I need them let in.
Yeah, I'm going to try to watch as well. I'm going to actually pin myself so I could see a little bit easier what I'm doing. All right, so again, today, if you haven't seen, I'm going to do the Blockhead Black and Red. This was one of the post-fly kits that some of us participants got, and I got a double order of them, so I do have an extra if anyone wants this. I have now. So in the kit, a couple things I didn't understand. There's copper wire in there, and if you go to YouTube and look up post fly, they actually have very good instructions, but nowhere in the instructions do they mention why there's copper wire in there. So I'll skip that part. But I will change a couple things up that I thought made it a little bit easier, and I'll go through that.
Hey, Mick.
Yes, sir.
They post fly always sends 1 or 2 things that you don't need for the flies, just extra materials, and the wire was that in that one.
Okay, so I give you. So I'm sitting there looking at it like being an aircraft mechanic, saying I can't have extra pieces.
You're not supposed to have extra parts, are you?
No, it's like
Don't crash.
So I was sweating there a little bit. So let me other camera, and I'll put the light on. So this is the one that I tied. It is actually pretty close to what they had. I put a little bit more of the Flashaboo. which I will talk about that.
Yeah.
But I will then start with this. It's the materials you get in the post fly. Sometimes when you're watching a video, it's like that looks a little bit different from what you get. So you got to be a little bit careful on things, and I'll kind of explain that when I'm going with the kit. So I'm going to take that out, and it starts with a number 8 hook. And so that is supplied. I will put that in the vise. The first thing they wanted you to do was to measure off the block and then start the thread here. And then later on, you would put any kind of adhesive on a bare shank of the hook and then put this on. I had noticed that the glue in a bare shank just never bonded really well. So I ended up, I got Walt coming in. I actually put thread. If I was gonna just put a whole base down, you could still get the foam in, and then with the thread, it adhered better with the glue. So instead of starting there in the video, I'm gonna start right at the tip, and I am just using black 6/0. They do give you some thread with it. I don't know where I have that. I have a lot of thread behind me right there, and so I just grabbed black. So I'm just going to start a base down. And again, this is kind of deviating from what they stated, but I felt that by doing it this way, I had the block kind of stayed in place a little bit better. You will have to measure the block after you kind of get a nice base. I'm just kind of wrapping it up, and since this is an easy fly, I could talk a little bit slower and make this drag on a little bit longer. As long as you get a nice little base down, you're fine. And now you do want to grab the block, and the good thing with this is this one's really hard to crowd the eye. And that was something I always had a tough time with as of starting fly tying, is crowding the eye. So now I could kind of see I've got an eye, and you can see where the thread's hanging off. That's a good place to start. So as I showed you the black, they do give you a kit of white and black marabou. Since you saw the black, I will tie with the white. And they actually have it a little bit different, where they want you to tie in from the tip. So they actually want you to kind of preen some of these feathers back, and you're trying to grab the tip. And I will tie that in. Pull some of that extra back. And then I'm just gonna bring the thread to the front a little bit just to free up so I can do this. So now you can use hackle pliers or just with your fingers, and you're gonna try to preen the feathers back while wrap it around.
Hey, Mick, that's called palmering.
Palmering, thank you. And even though it kind of looks like a mess, and the first couple that I did, I was really worried that it wasn't going to look good. But it actually does turn out pretty good. So even if you think you're making a mess out of it,
Good.
yeah, pretty good. So I'll call that good. Now I'm just going to lock that in. we'll just cut the tag end off and again, try to bring that back a little bit and lock it in. Now at this point, I kind of look at the length and decide at what I want to keep. I'm looking about a shank length behind, and I'm going to call all this off here just a little bit too much. I'm going to just pinch that off.
Mick, can I interrupt for a second, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris is in the lobby waiting to get in.
Oops. Okay. Can't. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. In the kit, they give you Flashaboo.
Hola, amigos.
Hola.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I completely forgot. It's been a really, really long day.
Why don't you start this?
You forgot about me doing the blockhead.
I just said you were our special guest. I left the title the same as when Jim was on last week with us. So I said, well, this week our special guest is Mick.
It's Mick. I am special.
You are.
The bad thing is what's taken me so long right now is in the kit, they show how they have this zip tied. You could pull the whole kit out zip tied and it works. So when I dipped in there, I pulled it all out and it was all free strand. So it's got
Which one are you tying?
blockhead.
Blockhead.
Remember this one?
Oh, yeah. I think so, with the black wedge or whatever.
Looks like that.
Okay, yeah. I
Yep.
got 2 of those.
So did I, and that's what we were talking, that some of us got 2. So I'm offering, if anyone wants my second kit, they can.
Yeah, I
Sounds
got
like
that.
everybody got 2.
Yeah. So be careful with the Flashaboo with this because it's not tied in with, or zip tied like some of this does. So it gets everywhere.
Yeah, everything will give you away.
So I'm just going to make sure I have it tied in on one side and bring it over and lock it in. At this point, I try to trim because it's kind of long. I guess you could double it up if you wanted, but trim it now so it doesn't get in the way. It's kind of hard to see. You can see some of the tabs. It blends in with the white real well. But with the black, it kind of sticks out. So the next part that they have is the red strung saddle. They only give you red in the kit. They give you 2 different marabou, but saddle, it only comes in red. Again, they want you to take from the tip. And then,
Is that a space saddle? Is that what that is?
I don't know what kind of saddle.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it
look-
is.
It's not marabou.
It's not
No.
marabou.
No.
It's not marabou.
Yeah, it looks like, well, almost space.
Looks like some feathers I got from Walmart.
Yeah. And that's the one
Yeah.
thing you will, if you post flies, a lot of the material is synthetic. The feathers have been pretty good, but sometimes it's like, oh, where'd they get this?
Let me find these things.
Maybe from a dance class somewhere.
So again, I'm going to wrap this just like I did with the marabou. I'm just trying to, at first it doesn't look like it's cooperating with you, but it does start flaring out nicely. And at this point, do make sure the temptation is to move forward on it, but you try to stay at the mark where you had for the blockhead. Just take your time to make sure you're not trapping any of the fibers. Get a nice little bit. You can try to lock it in.
So you're working your way back with that?
Yes. Because the next step locks everything in, and that's when you put the blockhead in. Just trying to make sure I don't have any stragglers. I'm trying to pull back. At this point, Sally Hansen's or any other hardener you want to use, glue. And now I coat the whole area. As I said in the video, they don't do this. They go right on. I put the thread base on. They didn't. For me, it seemed like it held better. With the blockhead, they do have a mark. And I don't know if you could kind of see it. No, probably not. But I use a bodkin and make sure you start the hole so it's going through the corners. That way you have a nice guide. You're not gonna have it come out the side. So once you have that as a nice guide, you can, actually what I'm gonna do is just do a half hitch. And you can, with that, cut your thread. So you're pretty much done with your thread.
Wow.
Go in. That makes it a little bit easier so someone doesn't have to worry, oh, it's fighting me a little bit. There we go. You just push it on until you get your hook out.
Yeah.
And this one's been a lot difficult. Didn't want to fight. There we go.
Because we're recording, because you're recording.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because even though I started the hole, so there we go. I'm trying to push it back a little bit, but it came out of where it wanted to go. Okay, better there. So now with the head cement or Sally Hansen's, that will lock in a few minutes. Now the easy part is just putting on some eyes. So they do give you a little paper with a bunch of sticky eyes on it. And just rotate the fly on the side. I do have a little glue bottle with a little tip that makes it easy to put one little drop. Just get the one little drop started and then drop on an eye. Just get it into an area where you want, just like that. Other side, try to put it in the same general spot and just put a little drop of glue. And that kind of helps. There is some adhesive on these eyes, but they don't feel like they will hold on. Oh, looks like the one got a little. So that's it. Blockhead, it is real quick and easy. And I think this would be a good one for any of the beginners. You know, even though I tried to take it slow, this was a quick tie. We still have plenty of time to discuss other items, but that's very quick blockhead. I think that would be very good summertime, trying to chase some bass out. Any questions on it?
Hey, Mick, a couple of observations.
Sure.
If you will take the point of your scissors where you bring your bodkin out the back end,
Yeah.
and just kind of clip that hole a couple of times, it will go on a lot easier. And if you need to, like if you've crowded it with the feathers, go up on those feathers a little easier also.
Yeah, I could see having that, the back end of the block, if you open it up a little bit better, that would be nice. Again, from my
good,
the Flashaboo, but with the white it blends in pretty much. So, but it's an easy one. I think this would be good for if we have new participants and want to start. It's easy that you don't have to worry about whip finishing, and as you can see, you don't really crowd the eye that much. So it'd be a good basic fly to get someone involved. And I think this would be a good first step, Fly.
Outstanding, Mick. Thank you.
Excellent.
I think
Nice
that's
job,
one of our
Blockhead.
first. Do you have one? Or are you calling him a blockhead?
I call him a blockhead.
Yeah, I'm a blockhead.
Okay.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. So I think a couple different things is I'm pretty sure that's about the only post fly example we've done. And for spring fishing here, lakes and everything else, it is hoppers are very efficient. Plus, this is Walt always asks, is this a good one that we can do a dropper off of? Absolutely you can, because you've got all the buoyancy on there. The other part is if you don't, so you can go high end on your, I just dropped something again, I always do. You can go high end on your foam. You can go in the fly shop and you'll get about 6 inch by maybe, I don't know, 3.5 inches of your foam density. It comes in a lot of pretty colors and iridescent and everything. And you're looking at about $325 and higher for your foam packs in the fly shops. And I think especially with, it's a little intimidating going in and trying to figure out, which one and how, because they have different densities. So if you push in on it and it's something where if you can push in your thumbnail and it makes a crease versus this one that's extremely porous, your good option is, and it's not,
Yes.
use it if you want to use it, don't if you don't. But when you do go to a Walmart or something else, go through the craft section and you can find the foam sheets. Right now, again, a lot of the dollar stores have these for kind of back to school or summer projects. So you can find anything from the door hanger crafts that you can find foam. We have, for St. Louis, we have a box that has probably more than 100 of these little wedges to make what Mick said, and you can make your little poppers out of that. Good thing is a lot of these have adhesive on the back, and so how you would do that to connect them, and I'll kind of just show you, but one has an adhesive. Actually, I need to cut these so that I have something to work with. Bigger scissors. How come we can only find our tying scissors when we need bigger scissors? But you can actually cut these and connect the adhesive. So you peel off one portion of it. Okay, so that's the sticky side. So I want that to connect to my next color. Lay that on, and all you're doing is laminating all of them together. So now I'm going to come in with the third color, and this is sold in a pack, and you can find it literally at Walmart. So now I've got my 3, and then I can come back in with my scissors, cut in here to kind of shape. And same thing, and you can pre-cut. This is when an X-Acto knife afterwards really comes in handy. And so now my yellow on the bottom still has the sticky to it. So I pull that off. And then I want to put these where it's kind of back to back, or I want to lay this on the blue so that the sticky to sticky. So now I have that layered look in the foam. And then you can cut these and shape them with your regular scissors. Again, an X-Acto knife, you can use a blade and, cut them into the shape. But exactly what Mick was working with on that pre, and when you clean that and you have a really straight look, again, it makes kind of that tricolor very easy, visible on your foam.
Nice.
So that's kind of a different way to go about it. When we were talking
Amy,
about as far as, I'm sorry?
Amy, what I
Yes.
have been doing with it, putting the colors in, I went to Harbor Freight and bought some punches.
Yep.
And I punched out a bunch of bumblebees.
Absolutely. And you can go, again, you can go on your regular cutters to do a lot of your other foam. So you can cut of shapes of these if you wanted to. And so you can, what you're going to run into when you start getting to multi thicknesses on this is you can't cut all the way through. And so then good luck on the dexterity of that, but I could cut one layer at a time and then try to marry them all together. So you could do that. So cut your red, cut your blue, cut your yellow, and then try to marry them on the sticky part and put them together, and you'll get that more thick hopper shape. Or you can just, again, freehand it, cut it what you want to, but you definitely do not want to use your tying scissors. You want a longer where you can go all the way through that cut. So you can take it all the way the shape that you want to, as opposed to these little hack as you go along. But that's another option in regards to just the foam and kind of what you can look for and what you can create on your own without having to break the bank. Or again, you know, you spend $3 on these adhesive ones versus $3.50 or whatever on the other. The disadvantage on these is so they are not made for the buoyancy. So you are going to have where they're a little bit more porous on here. After you use this for a period of time, it's going to start to just subsurface and just start dropping. You can, this is what I was saying before, is you can coat this with your gink. You could use the UV resin and it won't drop it. In what I've done on water things, it won't drop it enough for a significant difference. But the other part is probably, and again, all I'm trying to do is seal this. So this is that instant dry. It's a Sally Hansen's product as well, but it's not the hard as nails, which is one we often hear on this. And so you can go through and just hit, and this will seal this, and it adds 0 weight, and it's an instant dry. Okay, so then you've got it all sealed. You can do this before or after you tie, and it's not a glue, but this will be dry in seconds. And so that's one of the things also where sealing up all the porous areas on this foam makes a huge difference as far as the durability, or again, being able to float. You can hit it with your gink. The gink's going to fill in like a little egg crate. It'll fill in all the little holes, but it won't create just it's not going to stay up necessarily all day on these other materials. And that's the difference between good foam, mid foam, but I like the color choices, and that's kind of fun to play with. So you can see again with what Mick tying in some different colors just for the heck of it. It's kind of fun. And it doesn't break the bank in trying different options on that. So that part of it, and again, you can see it's dry. And Chris and I did a water test one day because he was asking as far as which one stays up longer. And I said, well, I don't know, try them. And so we both kind of tried our own little examples, and we decided that the fingernail polish or some sort of sealant does stay up better than the UV in regards to kind of our comparison. Take it or leave it, but it gives you an option, and it's a lot easier than going through. And you guys have seen I use the Bondec for my UV, and then I have a better light to seal this. This is actually made for sealing water leaks. You can buy it at Harbor Freight, you can buy it at Ace Hardware, whatever. But I like this as far as my UV. I've had Loon, I have everything. I literally have everything. And this is that's my all-time favorite because it doesn't get that cloudy look either. The other part I heard Mick mention as far as with the glue or getting your foam to stay on there too. And I've shown this tip many times. Super glue, Loctite, hands down, best one out there. The other thing is we've all got a lot of these little magnetic kits that come in the bottom of our hooks, and save these, because what I can do is I can tie flies for about 3 hours. All I need to do is take this Loctite, put a dab on the magnetic, because super glue needs a porous surface to be able to cure. So right now, this will stay lucid, moving. I can put it on here. I can go back to it. It'll stay, and I do not have to continue. I do not like super glue like this. And if anybody else has ever had to take apart a vise and try to get super glue out of the jaws, you know why I don't like that. So again, you put it on here, and it's good to work with for at least an hour. It's kind of like that Tootsie Pop thing. I don't know, but all I know is that it stays the whole time I need it. So as I'm tying flies, I can use it. I can go back to it. Again, just I have a dedicated bodkin for that, and it's not going to get hard in the 5 seconds you have to work with it. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anybody have any questions, comments, advice, tips? Anybody want to tie up any hoppers? Nope, nothing.
Cricket, cricket.
So yeah, I know, cricket. Well, it's a perfect segue then into Walt's had questions on threads. And this is a great one to kind of segue into thread and which threads to use. Because Mick, why don't you talk about a little bit as far as the threads, because you're having to attach that foam block. And if you go with a lightweight thread, it's going to keep popping on you and breaking. So you had mentioned your thread choice, but how did you come about to your thread choice?
I still like the thicker thread. Still, since I'm new, any of the fine stuff, I usually still try to tug too tight and I bust through. So I've been kind of going with anything thicker. I know it's usually like the 120 and higher. And even sometimes when I'm building my nymphs, then it's kind of builds up the body a little bit quicker. But I kind of shied away with any of the thinner materials because I'm still a little bit too strong with them. But
So,
actually with the foam, you need to kind of crank a little bit. So that's where I go with the thicker threads.
and
Has
and what I
anybody
would
had a
say,
problem? Has anybody had trouble dubbing with the uni thread besides me?
No,
Yeah.
what are you trying to do with the dubbing, John?
Well, I was doing a demo last week, and it was the first time I'd used white thread for my demo. And the only white, I
There's
had
a curse in it.
Had to get the color.
Only I get to use white thread.
Had to get the color in there, huh?
Yeah, the only white that I had was Unithread 70 denier, and it would not let me dub. I've been using just a plain nylon gray that was working great, but this Unithread just wouldn't let me dub, wouldn't let me get the dubbing noodle started. It just was, I don't know. It acted like it was didn't want to, like the dubbing couldn't stick to the thread for some reason.
Was it so what strength were you using? I'm just taking this off. What strength? Because I just pulled a uni thread in red because believe it or not, I have other colors of thread.
I know.
You
Don't believe
haters.
it.
what otter
Look.
denier are you talking about?
Huh?
On this one, I've got a
Okay,
3/0.
3/0. Oh, that's pretty heavy.
Well,
Yeah, that was
that's
using
what I'm-
70 denier. Yeah, this right
I'm
here.
at two,
No.
I'm at 220
Oh, that's-
denier.
Wait a minute. That's ultra thread, 70
Yeah,
denier.
that's what I said. Ultra thread.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
misunderstood.
I thought you said uni. Okay, hang on.
I thought you did
No,
too.
no, I'm sorry. I thought I said ultra thread, but you know what? I'm 75. I could have said uni.
You're still a youngster. Okay.
All right.
And you had trouble
Well-
with 70 denier ultra, huh?
Yeah, I was using, where is it? I was using this ultra fine dubbing right here.
That should have worked.
Huh?
That really should have worked.
That's
Even
what I thought.
Without dubbing wax, it should have worked.
I didn't have any dubbing wax with me.
Well, you
at the
didn't
time.
need it, really.
Yeah. But like I say, this was the first time I really noticed a significance, and I tried it on a couple of other 70 denier ultra threads, and it had problems too. But when I went back to my normal winding thread or wrapping thread, it worked fine. So
That's
I don't know.
That's amazing. How about
Yeah.
Danville? Do you use Danville Fly
Yeah,
Master?
that's
Which is
Dan-
about 70, 72, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Here's the stuff that I was using that was working fine.
That's looks like uni. Yeah,
That's
that's uni
Unithread,
8R.
yeah.
Thread,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
about
This
the
was,
s- yeah, that's
8R.
about the same denier.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Coats and Coats.
No,
Yeah, and it was just.
Wait, you don't like totes and totes?
no, you don't want to do that.
Well, I don't know why.
There goes that endorsement.
They're good. That's a good thread. I don't have any problem with it.
So were you doing a dubbing loop or were you just trying to apply it to the thread?
Just applying it to the thread, just like you've got right there.
All right. So, well, the only thing, a couple different things is with how dry your fingertips are this
Yeah.
time of year would be one of them. And instead of adding, you can try with, and if you don't have any dubbing wax, I mean, you could honestly, you can use chapstick. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
I've also talked about using static guard because there's enough oil in this and just spray your hands with it. And that'll get it enough started onto your thread.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I've done this before with, I'm trying to grab some bright colors. So I'm using almost the same dubbing that you just pulled out. This is more of a little bit of an Angora mix, I think.
Uh-huh.
But so if you're having trouble with it and you're coming on like this and trying to spin it, so instead come underneath with your fingertips, go underneath this direction, just grab a couple of those wisps and then just start on the top fibers and see how it's not wanting to grab it first.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
tried that
And then
too.
as I,
Yeah,
Yep,
I
and
tried
then
the,
as
the,
I
the
can-
underside and everything, and nothing wanted to work. And there I was on camera too. You know, I mean, that's always exciting.
that's always, and then coming back in and being able to seal it back over.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get that first one, almost like you would do a dubbing loop to fill it. So you just
Uh-huh.
start with your little bit of wisp, and that's the only thing I can think of on there. I'm trying not to hit my camera on here. It is always interesting tying on these, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have my camera set up today on my Vice, but
And I think with just and of course it always happens when you're on camera.
Of course.
It always does. You know, I think the other thing is in a jam like that, and you need to apply from here to here, you know, adjust instead of fighting the material, go back in. And what size hook were you tying?
I think we were using this 10.
Okay. So you got enough room to be able to do a dubbing loop, right?
Yeah, and I should have thought about that, but I didn't. I was doing an RS2 and
Yep. So you adjust on that, make your dubbing loop. So you come in 2 inches, and I know you know how to do. I know anyway. So I come in and I'm going to go right back up to where my thread ended, fast loop up to the front, and then this is the part where you're trying to fill. You've got a little bit, whether or not you've got the wax or not to work with, and you're just kind of applying it in.
Yeah.
Run it down, and you've adjusted, and nobody even knew that you were having an issue on the first.
oh yeah,
You
they
know,
would.
and well, only because it's your group in Omaha.
Yeah.
They know when you step out of line.
Oh,
So then
God,
you can
yeah.
go in and do your dubbing loop. It gives a little bit more durability on your fly as well. But it gives folks an option who are also fighting with the same thing. Because if you fought with it and is tying as long, what your experience is, others are. And the biggest thing is that, you know, using less on this. You can also
Yeah.
add in dubbing at any point. And I think what you end up seeing is folks say, you know, oh, I got to get it all in one. I'm using about a 2.5, 3 inch section right here. And I didn't advance it any on there because I might just fish this fly.
Well, now I just tried it on the exact same thread and had absolutely no trouble at all dubbing with it. So I don't know.
Then your issue was camera. It had nothing to
Yeah.
do with your thread.
Yeah.
So,
Amy, let's try something.
sure.
You already got your hook and thread and all that and dubbing material. Run your thread to the middle of the hook shank. All right. Let's see if I can, I can barely see it. Go ahead and give me the
See,
full
that's
screen.
why I use white. That's why I use white thread, and this group harasses me.
No,
because they
no,
thought
you're
that was
fine
the-
here. Now,
Okay.
go ahead and dub as you normally would. I want to see something here.
Okay, well, hang on. Now I got it. You guys know my OCD with dubbing, right? I cannot pick up dubbing without having to do the whole fold thing like you would take. I've got to do this every single time. I cannot pick up just a wad like here and I could mix these. I'm going to mix these two colors in and I've got to do this as far as kneading it together.
That is OCD.
It is. But look what happens. Look what happens because you pull out all these little kinky,
guard hairs
the
and all
parts
that.
that won't. So you get good
Yeah.
dubbing.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I'll
right.
tell you what, Amy.
I
if
do
you-
that.
If that's OCD, then you and Rim Chung share the same attributes because that's exactly what he does when he ties on.
Oh, we all. Oh, many of us
Oh,
do
yeah.
that. Many of us do that.
But it's funny because I didn't notice it until I started doing these kind of videos and I would pick it up and I'm thinking, and I don't count in my head. I mean, I'm not that bad yet, but I pick it up and I think, oh, wait, I got to re-straighten this, even though I've just set it down. So, all right, Bob, I'm ready to get schooled. So I'm coming underneath with my fingers. I'm going underneath with my dubbing guiding hand and I'm pulling out some fibers on the top.
Right.
Okay. Starting to twist.
Okay. Now,
then-
yeah, I just saw what you were doing. Okay.
then
When you
as
dub, your thumb is rubbing the material towards the hook eye, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Reverse that.
I don't want to reverse it.
Yeah, we. Okay, let's try it again. No whining allowed.
Damn it.
Try it again. Now, here's why I say to do that. And I can't remember which one, some master tire mentioned this, and I started doing it.
That's not what I'm calling him right now, but go ahead, Bob.
It follows the
all right.
twist of the thread.
No.
Yes,
Okay.
it does. I've been doing that
Well-
now for a year.
So
How about that? That looks. What? You didn't sabotage this, did you?
No. Yeah, I have it in reverse. I have it in reverse angle. You can't see it. All right. So, but
All right.
so your reasoning on that. Let's
It
go back
follows
to
the
the
twist
thread.
of the thread. Yes.
So if I twist my thread and I'm
Oh,
going
no.
towards,
Well, you're gonna
No, I'm
twist
just-
it. Yeah.
but if I twist my thread right now, and I go towards,
You're going
My hook eye.
clockwise. Are you going
well,
clockwise?
it depends if you're left-handed or right-handed.
No.
Um,
It
Well-
makes
Because all
it
the
different.
lefties
It makes it different because you unwind the thread.
but I'm not unwinding the thread. Okay. I'll
No,
try.
no,
You're
no,
tightening it
no.
up.
I'm
so
gonna
you're going
re-spool all my
clockwise.
bobbins tonight.
On synthetic thread, we all know that if you spin the thread clockwise, you'll cord it. If you spin it counterclockwise, you'll flatten it. If the thread is not bonded. True?
Right.
All right.
True. Except
Okay.
don't tell clockwise. Les, you can attest to this, right? But the
Well,
lefty on the group.
I was going to mention the reverse of that is true with silk. If you use silk, then it's exact opposite of what I just said.
Dang, and I thought I was doing it right for all this time.
Well, yeah, it looked right.
Guess what? I get BLTs for dinner tonight. Bacon, lettuce, and tomato. So
I'll be
anyway.
glad. I'll be glad when
Only if you can dub right.
Apparently I can't.
I got your chef on speed dial.
Yeah.
I'm batching it tonight. My wife and my son took each other out to dinner, so I'm all home alone. I think it's time for a little bit of Glenfiddich.
Hey, there you go.
All right, guys, have fun. I'm dropping off. Have fun.
All right. Thanks, Dan. All right. Well, there you go, Bob. So I did it.
Wait a minute. No. Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's going that way.
And you're
Going
dubbing
away from
left-handed.
the hook eye.
That's
Kind
fine.
of going clockwise.
Yeah, I would probably dubbing right-handed, but I don't think it makes a difference.
Hey, Amy, would you do another dabbing loop, please?
Sure. Well, it depends. Am I going to get? No, I'm kidding. Yes, I will be happy to.
I think I
Please,
derailed.
let's go.
I'm
Please,
so,
let's go to a dubbing loop.
I may have derailed her train of thought.
No, no, I love it. I love it all.
Sorry.
Because no, I thought because I think with I mean again dubbing it's that monster. It's like how do you get it correct and we've all seen where people just jump on with this whole big wad
Oh no.
and you look at them and it almost hurts the just going oh no don't use that much and trying to talk them back the correct way. That honestly what I was doing is that's the most seamless place for me. All right, so Walt, I've got green out for you. So with your dubbing loop, I've come out with my thread and I've got about 3 inches. I'm going to put my finger right here and stop that. And then I'm going to come back up to exactly where my thread was. And then I want to move my thread out of the way, right? So fancy, I could hang it over here, but I just want it out of the way. My dubbing loop is this oval. Are you able to see that on the?
Yes.
Okay. And with the wax, you can use whatever variety you want to. The advantage of using this is it will stick on the first. The disadvantage of using this, if you're in a class, it's not stick glue for kids. You get this on your fingers and you're not going to get it off of your fingers very easily. So it tends to kind of annoy on the tactile of what, it's like, man, I can't get that off. So use it or don't use it. Chapstick is a good alternative just because it will stay, but then also doesn't stick to people's fingers. I'm going to take my dubbing and the first thing I'm going to do with this is actually start pulling it so that it makes kind of a longer section.
There you go.
I'm going to lay that
That's
inside
it right there.
in the oval and see how I got that where it filled the space in there.
Just one
I
side.
come in. I'm sorry?
Just one side of the string.
It doesn't matter. It's filling the whole entire oval. It's on the inside of that whole oval that I created.
Okay.
By taking the thread, putting my finger, and then going back up with my thread.
Yes.
And so do you remember the game that had like steel balls and you would pull the angle arms apart to where you wanted the ball to drop in your score thing? I don't know. You guys are all.
That was before my time, Amy.
Okay. I have plaid shorts on today too, so I can date myself easily. And my birthday's tomorrow. So, all right. So with my dubbing tool, and I use a turbo. I love this.
Oh yeah.
It has a bearing.
They're nice.
It has a bearing inside. It has a couple different fittings on the top. This is always the one I use. So it's got this double away from like a coat hanger look. I go in where my fingers are, and I'm going to collect on both sides of this hook the threads in there, right? I've kind of messed that up a little bit. And then you just spin, and you can see how that dubbing gets in there tighter and tighter and tighter. There's really not, you don't run into, especially if you're working with somebody, they can't over tighten this. It'll just stop tightening. I come in then with my hackle pliers. I'm going to pinch somewhere up in, and I'm going to cut the space between my tool and the hackle pliers. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. It's off. And now I've got my dubbing to work with. And same with what Mick was doing on. So I come over. Okay. And on your wraps, you want to be with purpose, but you definitely want to pull that towards a hook bend. And again, these are touching wraps coming up and over. Okay. Pulling it back. And this would be for your nymph bodies, for a lot of wet flies. It works for everything. But the important part is keep pulling that back. If you just kind of wrap over, it's going to be all messy and it won't track right in the water. And then I get kind of to that thin part where it is. That for me would be kind of an indication on a tie-in point or wherever I want it. Then come over, crisscross. Again, come behind, crisscross, once in front, and I'm ready to cut that out.
Amy, have you ever used a dubbing brush?
I have, are you talking to brush it out?
No,
Like this,
maybe
this
maybe
kind?
I'm using the wrong terminology, but you can make, well, I'm not sure what they're called, but there's YouTube videos out there where people take pieces of wire and string them parallel and
Yeah,
then put
those
the
are
dubbing
EP
on it and then
brushes.
twist it all up. Does anybody know what they're called?
EP brushes.
Yep.
What are they?
Yeah,
EP,
yeah, I
like
got one.
Echo Papa.
Yeah,
Yeah, could be. I think I've seen them as called dubbing brushes. Yeah, that looks like it right there. Yeah,
Galley
So same,
Polisi, I think is
yeah.
Enrico
initial
Pizzici, yeah.
guy.
Oh,
so they're dubbing brushes, and what you can do, and I have actually a screw eye hook on one part of my table here, and I can run wire, so
Okay.
I can make a loop on my wire, and I can use my dubbing tool and lay in all of these fibers. So you can use longer fibers. This would be for a streamer application.
Mhm.
We use these a lot to finish off a head on there, and they're expensive to buy.
Nice.
In regards to, you get 6 in a pack basically. They're great for a lot of different colors and different varieties. They come in different lengths, and I'll show you kind of a quick. This one's coming off the hook shank. So you would tie it in just like you would any other material. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to anchor, and these are really anchoring ties. I'm going to go up to the front just to get it out of the way. Every single one of these is coming back, and you see how that has a distinctive part to it, where it has no hair or no fiber on this side. So every wrap, and you're pulling it around, and you're trying to lay that wire as close as you can to your hook shank.
No, I like it.
Yeah. Oh, it's stunning. And then when I thought you were saying dubbing brush, I'm like, yeah, I have a brush to do. So it's an old golf cleaning thing. So you just continually work this back, and every wrap. This is where we talk about Band-Aids every week for the streamer folks, because it's so easy to catch especially on the bigger, when you're in the aught sizes on your hooks. Okay. So you're going through. This is great for minnow patterns, great for the bait fish patterns. It comes in a lot of different, but every time you're brushing it and you're cleaning it, because you want, again, that wire is going straight to my hook shank, and then a nice clean wrap, and it just has like a bad hair day, but you can see how clean it is when you finish, and you can glue your eyes straight to this, and you're done.
Hey,
And
Amy.
you've got your streamer.
yeah,
and your
look
bait
at
fish.
Les's.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, sweet.
That head is a brush.
That's nice.
And you tie it off exactly the same way. So same as how you would tie in hackle or anything else. You come in, you kind of make that little bit of part, come in, up and under, go in front once. Use your other scissors. You guys know how I label everything, wire, because this is wire in here. Game changers. Which one's yours that you just did, Les, that you showed?
That was my my no name that I tied for the that's the same pattern I tied for the competition what, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That would be used for bass and stuff then?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Bass, smallmouth, large browns.
Yeah, because you can see even with this coloring, like this orange, or putting some orange and black in here, and you could go off the back with some sort of a shape. You're right in smallmouth heaven with that, because it looks like a crawdad crawfish. I'm educated on now the names of craws. There's several that people call them in different parts of the country, but you could do a lot of, just your reverse. You can do dumbbell eyes on this, so then you're flipping and you're more weedless, or your hook is riding up. But this is way too small for this hook. You'd actually go with something much larger just to clear, because you don't want to have to cut this. You can absolutely start cutting this, and you saw it on Les's, and you just come in and you're going to shape that head then. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. It's not a floating fly though.
Yeah, typically when I'm using that for a head on a fly, I'm usually using a size 1 to 1/0 hook when I use those EP fiber brushes.
Yeah. And that way you get your money out of them. Otherwise, you might as well just be doing dubbing loops and filling them. These are for bigger, you know, the game changers, the different ones too. And again, the finish on this one is black, but it has a little bit of red and a lot of purple in it. It's just a really cool color. This one's more in the olive, but you can make these. And again, so you'd have your open loop, you'd lay all the material in and then start spinning your wire. And this one's 2 of them with that.
They even make them with the rubber leg type material mixed into them as well, so it looks real buggy.
I think that
they're called mud bugs.
so there you go.
Wow.
you just get that big hook on there. So again, it's something where obviously this size then is more appropriate to that. You're not having to cut away as much material, but it gives you some different ideas. Again, it's a shopper's trap, but as you get going on different things, there's so many different, we didn't even cover, we basically didn't answer your question tonight, Walt, on thread. There's so many different varieties. And I think I started saying this last week too. I started looking at this and there's 12 pages that I could print out and read and you guys would all be asleep. It so much has to do with how much material is within the thread and your break strength. And your break strength is best tested by, can you pull it apart with normal, or as you're torquing on, is it going to break off every time? I like Kevlar. I like the Vivus ADOT is tends to be what I use the most, but I think it's so personal. What's the one last that waxes up the inside of your bobbin? GSP. Yeah. And I showed you guys the tool cleaning kit because it's that's the only one that I don't care to use on a regular basis because you just dedicate a bobbin to that. It will leave a wax residue on the inside of your bobbin. So anybody else? Any questions, any comments, anything?
Amy.
Yeah, I've
Amy,
got a
just-
question. What was the name of the material that you were using for the parachute on some of those bugs?
The parapost. So this
Did it?
one. Yep, parapost.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
you can use, we've talked about, there's another material, Bonnie cord, and you can find that at Hobby Lobby. You can find it on Amazon as well. And then the Watershed. And so mostly what this is it's a shortcut to yarn that's been treated with Watershed. I like it for the parachute application as opposed to me sitting here cutting all this and making my own parachutes. I buy the kits. I like it. I can end up getting, 3 packs. For me, it's an investment because I tie so many parachutes that I'd rather have this amount for this parachute as opposed to an entire skein of yarn. It's worth it for me to spend the $2.75. That's just my personal.
Where'd you buy the Watershed at?
Watershed, any of the fly shops. It's a hairline product, so you can find it anywhere. It's the hands down best that I've come across. You'll still have to gink when you're on the river, but what you'll do is you'll actually tie your flies. So you've got your flies and they're all ready to go. And I'm gonna finish these off. Oh wait, there's my ugly Humpty on there too, Humpy. So I'm just gonna treat this and I'm just gonna let them sit for 24 hours, just a drop or two. They don't have to be swimming in it. And then they're ready to put in my fly box. You're not going to treat this on the water. This is a 24-hour at a minimum before you go fishing. And then you can be out and you can do any of the gink, and you're still going to have to. The minute a fish gets it in their mouth, you're going to have to re-gink after that one, after everything, you kind of pat it off dry. All right, anybody else?
Watershed, you can get Watershed at Walmart for $6.95.
Oh, I didn't know.
What's it under the name?
Watershed.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's made by well, it says here pre-fishing fishing treatment for flies, tying materials, leaders, and lines.
Your Walmart's better than our Walmart then.
Is it? Oh, this is online. Is yours
okay.
made by is yours made by Hairline?
Yep.
Amy?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what this is too. So, and it's out of stock. Like all the chips are too.
There's another
Well, there you-
possibility. Amy, there's another possibility as well.
Sure.
Rain-X, RAINEX. If they haven't changed the formula, we used to use it years ago as a waterproof agent.
What about the odor of it? Does that make a difference?
I'm sorry?
Does it leave an odor that would?
Well, if I've aired it out at least a day, just like with Watershed, and I really don't detect any odor. But then again, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that because I still have some, and I'll check it out.
No, I've got.
I don't recall any odor after I let it dry out.
And then let it float or.
Oh, it'll float like a cork.
Yeah, and all those again, and the thing that I have found is far as, and some people talk about even going back to the foam and different things, and I don't like super glue with foam. It doesn't seem to cooperate well. It'll eat through different parts of it, and
Sure will.
and it won't ever get solid. It doesn't cure. It'll stay very tacky. It just picks up a weird. The Sally Hansen's, I've never had an issue with that not being tacky or anything else. But the one thing is that treating foam with Watershed, it's just a mystery. Sometimes you'll get a dye coming off of it where all of a sudden you look and you're like, okay, the plate that I just put that on has a little bit of red, whatever. You wouldn't treat foam with Watershed in my experience, but you can do gink on foam and it does okay. So I think it's just a lot of it's trial and error.
What did you paint the foam with?
Nothing. That was the foam. It comes this way. So it comes in strips. You buy it
know
in
that.
Walmart.
No, he meant to seal it.
No, what did
Oh,
you
the
seal?
Sally
sealant?
Hansen.
Yeah,
It was
quick dry.
Sally Hansen Quick Dry.
But
Yep.
that's not an adhesive though.
No, it's not going to glue anything. It's just a top coat. And so what it does
Where did you
is
get that at, Amy?
Walmart, you can find it at Walgreens, you can find it anywhere in the ladies, and see how the sheen picks up. So it's just enough to seal the holes of the foam. But you can find it in
It's the
any,
fingernail polish.
yep, find it in the fingernail polish section.
I don't run around doing my fingernails, so.
Well,
Why not?
I can tell you you'll find it, or ask anyone who's in your nearest Walgreens. So this would be Sally Hansen's, the regular one that everybody talks about, as far as they use this a lot for a head cement. And it has a little bit more adhesive. It takes another minute and a half to dry. But then if you use this one, which is again, and I'm not going to like holding it, I'm covering up my fingernails. I'm not going to show you but this would be like a clear coat or a top coat that seals in. And that's what it does for fingernail polish. It works well, it holds up. But it actually, for ladies, it makes your fingernail polish last longer. So any of the wives out there, they'll probably be able to direct you, or if you just tell them that you want the dries instantly, Sally Hansen's, they might know how to help you.
Do you think that dry coat or dries instantly, the one you just had, would work pretty well on removing tackiness from UV adhesive?
I haven't had any luck with that. I think that the best cure for that is actually put everything out in the sun. Because it honestly, rubbing alcohol going over the top of it, or,
Yeah.
you know, takes away a little bit of that tackiness. But covering
Buy a
up
different
when it's,
brand.
yeah, when it's not curing, covering it up doesn't increase it curing.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
So
it
it'd
does.
be like, you know, it'd be like trying to cover up taffy. It's not going to get, you know, but putting things out in the sun or put it in a sunny window. And then the other side is like what Les just said, switch brands, because I'll tell you hands down, I'm not a Loon fan. I have never had a good experience with Loon. Whoever wants all mine, just give me a top bid and I might make sure you
Thanks
get
a
it.
lot, Amy.
I don't, you might like it.
See
You
what
might
I
like
just
it.
bought it.
And I think, Les, what do you use? You use one that you like a lot. Don't you use Loon?
No, I use Solaris. Loon, I've
Okay.
always
here.
had a problem with it being tacky, even if I've baked it with my UV
Yeah.
light. Solaris, I haven't really had.
I've had a problem with the thick being tacky, but not the thin.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think, and there's ways and there's recipes online that you can find to kind of thin your version of it too, that if you find, the unfortunate part is if it's already past, if it's past its life and it's white, you know, you can't bring it back from that. So if you all of a sudden are kind of looking through this and you're like, it's white, works, but there are some recipes. I have never tried them. As far as thinning your UV, and I'm sure it involves some sort of alcohol. We won't go there on any other side comments, but I'm sure somehow you can thin this. The other thing is that just invest in a better light. And maybe that'll help. There are also some tips on Loon specifically as to clear coat on the top of that and get it to kind of at least get more solid. But
And
yeah,
Walt-
it's not
Walt, you can get all of this stuff, the Sally Hansen's, the Solaris, and everything else, all available at Amazon.com.
Yeah.
So-
Smile Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Smile Amazon.com.
Smile, because that way they donate money to Healing Waters.
Yeah,
That's
true.
right.
All right, I got bacon, lettuce, and tomato calling my name, so I'm gonna head out, and I think
Good
this
night,
was
all.
great. Walt, I think your thread topic is gonna cover multiple different weeks, just because there's so many different options, and I think again we'll try to get to it, but I'm trying to figure out how we do that without it sounding like an encyclopedia. And
Next
so
week,
next week
I'm gonna be in Atlanta. So.
well, good. We got some good folks in Atlanta.
Oh, try to hook up with you from there.
They got internet in Atlanta too.
So,
yeah, but their internet down there is only 56 KB.
Yeah,
it's dial up.
So who? I'm just going right over the top of that. So, any request for flies next week?
I've got nothing.
Hey, Amy, why don't you do my version of the mayfly?
The Wally Wing?
Yeah.
I would love to. That's one of my all-time, my favorites.
And I'll.
How about some kind of a popper?
Roger, you were a day late and $1 short on that one. Walt already, because he listed one of my favorites. So a Wally Wing like this, or a popper like Roger just suggested. Going
Let's
once,
do the
going
Wally
twice.
Wing. Wally Wing looks
Wally
fun.
Wing?
That's a pretty fly.
Wally Wing, I think.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that fly. That's pretty.
I will do a Wally Wing next week, and
I'll do
Mallard.
mine too. My version.
Okay, if you can get internet
Put
in
Wally
Atlanta.
wings on top of a popper, can't you?
Hey,
can.
I like that. That's thinking, man.
You
On
saw
the
my
side.
other mess.
on a size 22 fly.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna go because bacon, lettuce, and tomato is again waiting for me.
All right,
But
guys,
you guys
you have
have
a
a
good night.
great, you
Good
guys have
night.
a great
Have a
week.
good evening, everybody. Stay well and healthy.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
thank
Night,
you.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Now,
Bye.
Yeah.
happy birthday, Amy.